Jai Hind. Well, they are very interesting developments which have been building up at the Russian-Ukraine border. Now, the satellite images show that they are not 1 lakh troops which are deployed over there. There's a larger number than that, which is close to about 1 lakh 30,000 troops. Now, the question arises that we all know that Russia has the capability of attacking Ukraine. Yes, no doubt about that. But do they have the intention? Does Vladimir Putin actually decide to actually invade into Ukraine? Now, the Ukraine president Vladimir Zelensky has put on Facebook the actual date when Russia would be actually attacking them, which is 16th February, that's tomorrow. Now, is that a matter of concern? Well, it is a matter of concern, no doubt. It's like, if someone says, okay, I'm going to commit suicide, and you take it lying down. No, you should take it seriously, right? So now, again, a caution from him should be taken seriously for two reasons. First, it is alarming, no doubt, what's been happening over there. And secondly, also, because when it comes from the head of a state, from the president of Ukraine, it is certainly very, very alarming. Now, in NATO, there are 29 member countries. It is headed by the former president of Norway. In fact, NATO, he is the general secretary, in fact, of NATO. And in NATO, the Article 5 of the NATO Act says, if there is an armed attack or any threat to any of the NATO allies, then the entire NATO countries will all unite, will treat it as an armed action against that particular state, and will take it personally in a way that, that they would actually they would reserve the right to take as the action they deem fit when they all decide to do so. So now, will Vladimir Putin actually decide, will he actually go in and show the act of attacking Ukraine? In the year 2014 already, Russia had attacked Crimea, we all know, and they had taken that strip. Fine. Now, this is a golden question. Now, coming back to the Facebook post of the Ukrainian president, Zelensky. Nobody wants a war at the end of the day. Being a former soldier, I can tell you, well, we are prepared to go for wars. We are prepared to even lay down our life if the need comes. But at the end of the war, a mother waits for her son. A father waits for his son. A brother waits for his brother. A sister waits for her brother. A friend waits for a friend. There's no glory in war. But it's the politicians ultimately who come forward and shake hands. There's a Facebook post of a boy hiding under a table. And his mother tells him, son, the army has come to recruit you after seeing your bravery on Facebook. So the keypad warriors are the ones one shouldn't really take very seriously. But when it comes from the head of a state like Ukraine, which is under threat right now, it should be taken seriously, yes. And the golden question is, if Russia attacks Ukraine, will it actually lead to a third world war? My answer to that is, I'll give it in two parts. First, I do not think Russia will actually attack Ukraine, despite the 62 minutes phone call by Joe Biden with Vladimir Putin 2 days back. Despite that, he tried to convince him, and Vladimir Putin went firm that no, he would not displace his troops from there. Now, second thing is, even if given a situation, a scenario where Russia does attack Ukraine, then what happens? Will it lead to a world war? No, I don't think so. So at the end of the day, I hope peace prevails, and I hope it's sorted out. But this crisis is something which is not going to end overnight. It would not end in a year's time. It would take a long while. It's been building up, and when it builds up, it takes a long time from there to diffuse. If France and Germany, which were bitter enemies, if they could be friends today and boom in economy, I see no reason why anyone else cannot become friends. In fact, on the eve of the World War, they had a friendly football match on 24th December in the evening, 1918. And they cheered for each other. They were almost like friends. They sang songs together. They had a good bonhomie going over there, but the next morning, they were back to firing at each other again. So, soldiers on the other side are not personal enemies. They are only acting on the behest of, they are protecting the motherland. There's a very famous poem by Thomas Hardy, The Man He Killed, where he writes, where he explains how things would have been different had two soldiers not met on the border at the battlefield, had they met somewhere else. So where Thomas Hardy writes, had he and I but met at an old ancient inn, we would have sat us down to wet by many a nipper ken. But ranged as infantry, staring face to face, I shot at him as he at me and killed him in his place. I shot at him because he was my foe. Just so? Yes, he was my foe. That's clear enough, although I thought he would list perhaps, just as I, without of work, had sold his traps. No other reason why. Yes, quaint and curious war is. You shoot a fellow down, you would treat his met where any bar is, or help to half a crown. So anyhow, let's wait and see what exactly takes place and what conspires ultimately. But I would say, at the end of the day, peace would prevail, and actually the main evil, the main focus should be towards China. But who benefits from all this? Russia? Ukraine? Germany? US? The NATO allies? No. Ultimately, in the long run, who benefits from it? China. So let's actually focus where the real evil is, and let's hope the world becomes a better place to live in. Jai Hind.